Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by NBA futures analyst for the Action Network, Brandon Anderson. This is your Eastern Conference Finals preview for Pacers Knicks. We'll give you a series breakdown. We'll talk about it in detail. We'll talk through the process of how we selected our bets. We'll give you scenarios for if you disagree with this. If you're like, no, I think you two are idiots, we'll also give you how you should be playing that as well. We have a lot of eccentric bets for this episode because this is honestly probably the hardest one for us to kind of figure out and determine from between this series and the Western Conference Finals. We'll talk about all that and more on today's show. You can find everything that we're going to bet in the Action Network app. You can turn on notifications for Brandon and get a look at all of his futures. You can get the pro subscription, get them instantly as well to make sure you don't miss out in the market. Go to youtube.com/the Action Network. You can catch our live shows, which are going to be at 2:30 Eastern, 5:30 Eastern, and after every game throughout the conference finals. Only exceptions will be Sundays when I am giving the fellas the day off because, well, if the Lord can rest, so can we. So we're going to do Buckets live multiple times a day. I'm hosting most of them because I'm an absolute sicko and not well in the head. But it should be a great time. Come join us. Our community is really starting to get strong. Like the same folks are coming in and hanging out. Come join us because you like betting and they like betting, and we'll talk about your bets live on the air. You can bring your bets in and have our experts weigh in on what they think about your bet and all those types of things. So make sure to check it out at youtube.com/the Action Network. Brandon Anderson, your favorite team, the New York Knicks, taking on the Indiana Pacers. What are your 10 best words, or what's your 10-word thesis for Pacers Knicks?
Are we positive these teams didn't just body swap mid-season?
That's interesting. Okay, that's a very different one. Mine is, again, I apologize, I'm only at 8 words, but it's what? Are you kidding me? It's the Pacers. That's mine. I
forgive your 8 words for the gist of your thesis.
Yeah. So, okay. In the market, and Brandon, you got a better look at kind of the prices that are out there. Best price on the Pacers is going to be +135. This one's very close in the market. I will say this: we nailed this correctly when we talked about it on Buckets, where we were like, wait, okay, so the look ahead line was like Pacers +105, and then we looked at the market odds for the title, and we're like, wait a second, don't take that +105. You're going to want to wait on that. Unless you like the Knicks. And sure enough, we've seen these lines come out both more heavy in favor of the Knicks and then move in that direction. Knicks taking on quite a bit of action here. They're up to -155 at BetMGM, +130 at BetMGM on the Pacers. There's a 135. I believe you told me that was at Bet365 on the Indiana Pacers to win the series outright. Series spread is going to be tight in all these as well, obviously, because it's a little bit closer than the Western Conference, as you would kind of expect. The lowest priced outcome at BetMGM, which is the one I happen to have up in front of me, Knicks 4-3 is +350. But if you want to guess the series result, you're getting a pretty healthy plus number on all these. So you get a wide swath of things you can kind of look at there. Pacers +1.5 is -185. Knicks +1.5 is -275. So your smallest plus number is Knicks -1.5 at +150. That's 6 or less, which makes, I think, quite a bit of sense for how the market views this. Okay, Brandon, where do we start, do you think, with Knicks Pacers?
Well, let's start by saying our best bets, because, so as always, I like to do all the work before I look at the numbers and decide, okay, what do I think my bet is going to be? Obviously, that changes because the number determines it. But all the work, and I was like, man, we know what I think about the Knicks. I think the Knicks and the Pacers are good, not great teams. I think we have a good matchup. I think we have a good, fun, long series. I hate the cop-out, but I know what I'm doing, Matt. My best bet will just be a long series. Give me the over 5.5 games. Done. Easy choice. And I looked it up, and I was like -190 or something. Like, get all the way out of here. Come on. Just give me the one bet that I want, and I couldn't do it. I do think that because of that, like, I lead with that because we get a lot of chances, I think, to bet into this series. I felt that way about Clippers Nuggets in round 1, where I was like, man, I can see this going in either direction. We might be able to just kind of, like, I think in this series, you might be able to wait and bet in at a plus number on both sides of the series at different times, and then just be done. Just be done and guarantee a profit and let it play out, or bet in a couple of times. Like, I think that we have a marathon story about to unfold here. I don't think we're going to see one team flip the switch and this just be quick work. Hopefully no injuries and that sort of thing. I think we have a long series. Unfortunately, we can't bet that without paying dearly for it. So my best bet for the series is not a strong bet. It is a like half unit on each of these. I'm going to split my bet, and I'm going to look to kind of set up, but probably continue to add and tinker with it later. I'm going to take Pacers in 6, Pacers in 7. I'm giving the Knicks credit for 2 or 3 wins, Matt. I'm giving New York credit for winning at least 2 games. That's pretty good for me. Pacers in 6 is plus 500 at MGM. Pacers in 7 is 7-1 at DraftKings. That's an implied 29 or so percent plus 243. So I'm picking the Pacers to win a long series, either close out at home in game 6 or do what they did last year and go to MSG and close out in game 7 on the road while Reggie Miller is on the call. We're going to have fun in this series. I like a lot of props in this one. I like the props a little better than the series bet. I'll be on Halliburton, threes leader. Love the rebounding for Knicks, Hart, and Cat. We got lots of fun, goofy bets in this one. Goofy that are still, still we like them. So we'll get to that. That's my series best bet. Pacers in a long series. What's your series best bet?
I appreciate what you're doing here in that you're trying to one, you can't take the lower number. You just take the Pacers on the spread, man, or on the straight up line. Like, why mess with the number of games to get that extra 90 cents here? You can get Pacers plus 135 in any outcome. Like, just take the Pacers plus 135. Like,
I am aware. Look, normally we know this is what I do. I want to win the extra money. I want to win the listeners extra money. I'm aware that the storybook ending for people, not for me, whatever is the opposite of my storybook ending. The storybook ending for everyone who wishes the worst upon me for everything I've said about the New York Knicks and the Tibbs of it all and the grinding in the dust of it all is for me to be right that the Pacers win the series, but so right that they won it in 5, and I still lost all my money on the Knicks yet again. I'm aware, and I feel like that's fun, so let's do it. Pacers in 6 or 7.
Fair enough. I'm taking Pacers. Look, these are going to be lower unit bets for me because I wasn't wrong about Knicks first round. I had Knicks. I like Knicks in that Piston series, and then came back and was like, "Oh, the Celtics are going to destroy them," right? And they didn't. And they didn't for Val. Like, I wrote a whole lot of words about that series and watched a lot of clips and did a lot of post-mortem on that series. And I feel confident that legitimately the Knicks did beat that Celtics team. They were going to be up 3-1 before Tatum got hurt. I will also say that was very much the Celtics got found out. Before the Tatum injury, it was very much hey, you can make most of the plane out of threes. You shouldn't make the whole plane out of threes. At least the wings need to be made out of something. The cup holders. Make the cup holders out of something else. The tray tables. Make the windows out of something that's not threes. You can't make the entire plane out of threes. And so, but like you, I have a certain amount of respect for the Knicks, but I will simply be expressing that in less money won by betting fewer units because I'm going the full way here. Pacers outright. Pacers minus 1.5 plus 240 at bet 365, and Pacers minus 2.5 plus 575 at bet 365.
You're going in. Okay.
So look, this is not unlike some of the other situations, especially Knicks Celtics. This is just a numbers play. I have a power rating. The power rating gives me a spread. The spread gives me a win probability. Based off of those numbers, this is what I think is the most likely outcome relative to the market. Like I make Celtics, or I keep saying Celtics. I make Pacers minus 2.5, 349. It's 575. I make Pacers minus 1.5 plus 136. It's plus 240. Like, this is just, I think the Pacers are this good. I think the Knicks are this good. And the Knicks beating the Celtics, this is the tough part, is where I would be wrong is if I did not upgrade New York after the Celtics win. I didn't upgrade them. If I could, I would. If the Celtics were still playing, I would downgrade them. But I'm not upgrading the Knicks for all the things that you've talked about the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics in that series. They were down 20. What, 4 times?
4 times.
Like, all of these things did happen to the point where I'm willing to say, like, yeah, no, the outcome of the Knicks should win every so often, this outcome of that percentage of time occurred. Yep. I personally could not look at their performance in the first 2 rounds of these playoffs with their 111 offensive rating in these playoffs and go, yes, I will upgrade them multiple points. And so I can't get to a spot where I can do anything else here. I'm going to bet this. I am totally open to the idea of the Knicks just absolutely smacking them, momentum, and this carrying to the finals. Could absolutely happen. I do not agree with the market. The market makes this with the Knicks as heavy favorites. I make this 57% Pacers based off of the team strength. So with that said, that's where I come down on. Those are my best bets for Knicks Pacers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Do you think it's fair to say the market makes the Knicks heavy favorites? I think the market is effectively saying these are pretty equal teams, but the Knicks have home court.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it's a more matter of, like, when I still do this despite knowing how these things look in the implieds. Like, minus 145 is one of the numbers in the market, and that's 59%. That's high. Like, that's like 60-40 feels it's pretty high.
But where there's juice in there. There's juice, so that's part of it. Yeah, is like you got to factor that part out of it. So, yeah, I would say clear favorites, not heavy favorites, but semantics. We can keep going. Let's talk about the Knicks on offense. So, wherever you're going to pull the numbers from, I realize it's different if you get it at Basketball Reference or get it at whatever different spot. The teams are very, on a season profile level, the teams are basically equal head to head. You got the number 5 offense, the number 13 defense versus the number 7 offense, the number 14 defense. I need to tell you which team is which. It doesn't matter. Those are the same profile. The Knicks are slightly better on the season profile. On offense, as we know, the Knicks prefer 2s, not 3s. The Pacers bleed 2s. So I think the Knicks are going to be able to score some points on EFG. The Knicks are top 10. The Pacers are nearly bottom 10 on EFG on the season numbers. A big advantage, and I already mentioned this at the top, I think the Knicks are going to do the thing we know the Knicks have done, not as much this year, but in past years. They're going to smash on offensive rebounds in the series.
Yep.
They're top 10.
Yep.
The Pacers are bottom 10. Even in the season series, though Mitchell Robinson never played any of the games, they smashed on offensive rebounds. Josh Hart had 10 rebounds all 3 games. Karl Anthony Towns averaged 12 rebounds a game. They were huge. The Knicks are 6th in points in the paint on the season. Pacers are bottom 5 in how many they give up. I think the Knicks are going to get into the paint, and I think they're going to stay in the paint. They're going to make some shots. They're going to miss some and get them back and make them again. Interestingly, the Knicks are top 5 in rim rate as how often they get there, but bottom 10 in how well they finish there. The Pacers allow the 10th most rim rate also, but are top 10 defending it. So a lot of Miles Turner here. They're going to get to him, but can he close them off? But even when he closed it off, did they get the rebound and put it back in anyways? I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think also the Knicks pick and roll. We all want that to be more. We want more Brunson Cat pick and roll. They don't do it as much, but Indiana ranks bottom 10 against pick and roll coverage also on the season. I think there's a lot of stuff that the Knicks are going to find offensively. And quite frankly, we know I'm going to like the Indiana offense. We talked about West already. Listen to that preview if you haven't yet. We didn't really say it, but I think we think the West series is going to be a defensive series. This is an offensive series for me.
That's interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I'm gonna have to maybe we should talk this out. So,
Okay.
one, offensive rebounds are obviously going to be efficient if they're putbacks, but offensive rebounds that lead to a reset on offense don't necessarily drive up. It depends on how you calculate the possession, right? But also with the total, it's just more time ticking off the clock,
Yeah.
right? So, like, for example, I'm going to be on the under in game one. Spoiler: I'm going to be on the under in game one. I'll give that out tomorrow on the show. I make that well below the 223 that it's marked at. I get the idea, because the profile from the regular season is like, well, the Pacers aren't a very good defense, and the Knicks aren't a very good defense, and the Pacers are very good offense, and the Knicks are a very good offense. Except, like, here's what the playoffs say. The playoffs say the Knicks defense is great and their offense is not any good, and the Pacers offense is great and the Pacers defense is not any good. But the counter to this is the Knicks offense, like, played Boston, but the Pacers defense played Cleveland. And that, like, dichotomy, I think, is like really interesting. The Pacers are much more of a defensive team, I think, in these playoffs than we realize. And the counter to that is like, well, look at their numbers. Like, the Cavs scored versus them. Yes. But also, it felt very much like the Pacers defense was able to control things to where they wanted it to get to. And there's only so bad you can make the Cavs offense because Donovan Mitchell is a playoff god. And so that factors in here, I think, as well. I'm not sure that I think it's going to be a slight under series relative to expectations. I do agree with you wholeheartedly when the Knicks are on offense and the offensive glass. It's going to be a massive thing. So Steve Jones this morning was talking about, like, hey, maybe they put Halliburton on Josh Hart. And my immediate response to him was that Josh Hart's going to smash on offensive rebounds then. He'll get cuts and he'll just, like, throw himself into Hallie 1,500 times with reckless abandon, and Hallie will probably get hurt in that situation, and Hart will still score a bunch of offensive putbacks. The Knicks should absolutely annihilate on the glass. That's just, like, where they are going to be at. It's a matter of, okay, can you make enough putbacks to where you're able to keep up? Like, are you able to get enough of an advantage there? Now, the Knicks did this last year, where, like, that literally is how they were able to kind of get to the spot where they were going to make the conference finals if guys hadn't gotten hurt. One thing that we kind of talked about on this when we were looking ahead to this series that I thought was really interesting is there's been this idea of, well, you know, this Knicks team was going to beat the Pacers last year, and this Knicks team is better. Are they? Like, are they? Because, like, the last year's team was tough as nails and got, like, a bunch of things to go their way and could win a bunch of different ways. And I don't know what to take away from that Celtics series in terms of what a game script looks like. Other than, if you leave the Celtics open for three and they miss everything, then the Knicks are in a really good spot. Now, again, I did a lot of work on this, and a lot of those were pull-up threes instead of catch and shoot, and that matters here. And the switching that Tibbs did really made a difference. The one thing I think that is really crucial in that situation is if you switch versus the Celtics, they're programmed for Tatum and Brown to be like, we're going to attack you. All right, you're going to do this versus us. We're going to break you with our individual scoring acumen, force you to bring help, and then we'll kick to shooters. The Pacers are a little bit different in that the Pacers watched Jared Allen switch on to Tyrese Halliburton and we're like, oh, cool. Okay, so we're going to send the ball to the other side, and then we're just going to score that way. With the Knicks on offense, the way that the Pacers are probably likely to defend the series is if they commit to to Brunson, especially if they put Siakam on Towns. I'm very curious. The Knicks have not gone back to the pick and pop stuff at all this season. Like you mentioned, we all want them to do that more. Are they going to suddenly start doing that? Like, do you trust the Knicks to find the most efficient offense versus this Pacers team? Because the Pacers will give it to you, but I don't trust the Knicks to do it. If you told me going in, Karl Anthony Towns averaged 5 attempts per game as the pick and roll man, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's probably a reason to bet Knicks. But I don't know that I can trust that. I don't know if I believe that. And the Pacers, I think, have a lot of different ways to defend that action for a team that is so isocentric with Jalen Brunson at this point. There's a lot of things I like about what the Knicks can do here, in particular, and then I'll cut back to you. If they can force switches off ball to get OG matched up on one of the smaller guards, I love that matchup for the Knicks. I think OG can put those dudes in the basket and score consistently. You don't even have to manipulate and change your profile and actually start shooting threes. You don't have to do that. But you do need to find advantages here and not just try and attack some of the base stuff that you want to get to, which is like Nembhard versus Brunson. Brunson cooked him in the regular season. Cool. I don't love Brunson having to do that for 45 minutes a night over the course of this series. So for me, a lot of this is like, how much meat are the Knicks going to leave on the bone? Because in the playoffs, I feel like they've left a lot of meat on the bone offensively.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to you with a question here, because I had this kind of in the next section as we kind of move to Pacers on offense. But I want to get you to weigh in on this before we get into that. Each team has one. If you think of it like NFL, Indiana offense, Indiana defense, New York offense, New York defense. I want you to rank the 4 units. And I know it doesn't work that way in basketball entirely, but as much as we can, like a football team, which of the 4 units do you think is the best? And which of the 4 units do you think is the worst in this matchup right now?
I've been using the same framework like all throughout, talking about the conference finals and second round, honestly. So we're good. I'm going to sound like the hater. I have it Pacers offense, Pacers defense, Knicks offense. That's where I've got it at.
And
the Pacers.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, Pacers offense, I agree, is where I'm at on top. It gets muddy in the middle for me. I'm not really focused on that. I have Pacers offense top. I have Knicks defense on the bottom. And that's an especially troubling combo. You have Knicks defense below Pacers defense, which is already starting toward that problem. But we both have the Pacers offense best. And we both, you've got both Knicks units down below. You're making the right bet for what your position is. You're heavily in on the Pacers. You should be, if that's how you're feeling. Pacers offense. Pacers don't really want threes. They don't take that many. Here's what I think is interesting. The Knicks want you to take threes, and the Pacers are actually top 10 at 3-point percentage. Could the Knicks kind of accidentally force themselves to lose math equations here? Like, I feel like that's not great. In the 3 games they played in the season, the Knicks did not get threes up. They shot 25, 25, and 27 threes in those games. That's a pretty low number in today's era. They averaged under 10 makes a game. The Knicks aren't going to win the math part of the game that we always talk about. Indiana took 30, 31, and 46 threes. Which one of those numbers are they going to have? 30 and 31, they're not going to get an advantage. That's more Indiana basketball. The time they took 46, they made 21. If they make 21 threes in any games this series, they're going to win that game by a whole lot of points. They're going to do the thing that, frankly, they're going to do the thing that the Celtics did, except they're not going to do the thing that the Celtics did because they're going to close the door on the other side because they can do the other stuff too. So I don't know I know an answer to that, but it's curious that that actually might accidentally play into Indiana's favor, or maybe on purpose if Rick Carlisle goes that direction. The Pacers prefer 2s, and they're pretty good at it, and the Knicks don't defend it all that well. By EFG, it's number 4 versus number 22 on the season. That's just not a strength for New York. I think the Pacers are going to push the pace as per their name. They're going to be fast break. They're going to transition offense. You talked about this last series against Cleveland. Man, you score a bucket and they're already in the offense back on the other side of the court. Like, it's so fast. It's like a whirlwind coming at you. I almost even wonder, this is just live thinking this through. You've talked about how Indiana, both series so far, has come out and punched in the jugular and grabbed the series right away. Remember how at peak Warriors, I know the Warriors are out. We don't want to talk about them anymore. At peak Warriors, we always knew to respect them in game 1 because it took a while to adjust to just the whirring motion machine. Is there a world where the Pacers are just coming at you in game 1, and it's taken teams a minute to be like, man, we were walking it up against Boston the entire series, just playing this nice slow pace, and you're already running offense. Just settle down over here. I think the pace is a real thing, and I don't trust Brunson, Cat, transition defense. Indiana's going to be getting into stuff, and I don't trust the Knicks defense to be ready for that.
Tempo. So one of my favorite things about kind of these things in the NBA is this. The smartest teams are teams that attack you with 20 seconds on the clock. That at 18, 20 seconds, they're already running first action, first screen, first pass, whatever. They're initiating offense at that set. They're not walking it up and then kind of getting set and then dribbling for a second and then, okay, there's 16 seconds left. Let's run two things and that's it. That to me is like, it's what you do when you're tired. You can slow down the game that way. It's better to slow down the game by making the opponent have to go through multiple actions. Oh, you defended this well. Cool. What about this? Okay. What about this? Okay. What about this? Okay. All right. Now it's the end of the shot clock, and now we've still got shot makers that can do it. The Pacers are doing that where they're just like, you make it, and they're right back at you. 18 seconds. There are so many times, if you go back and watch these broadcasts, where the TV networks are showing the highlight of the guy celebrating after he makes a three, and they have to cut back quickly because the Pacers are already in the paint making a pass to another guy who's open and scores. Like, it takes, and this is a subtle thing about it, it takes out the crowd so much. Yep. When you don't have that moment for them to be like, yeah, and it's just like, oh, it automatically, I was like, oh, come on. It really frustrates crowds. It really frustrates teams, and they're very, very good at it. I mentioned before the switching thing. This is like a really fascinating component of this. The Cavs were switching Jared Allen onto Halliburton, and they weren't getting punished for it in the sense that Halliburton wasn't putting up 35 points a night by cooking Jared Allen off the dribble. That wasn't what they did. Tyrese Halliburton will always recognize those situations and be like, your rim protector is on me. So now I'm just going to stand here because you have to respect my 3-point threat. And I'm going to let my guy, Andrew Nembhard, work a pick and roll with Pascal Siakam, and we're going to get that kind of action going. Now, the Knicks can do different things with this to kind of combat that because their pick and roll defense is likely to be better than Cleveland's by a significant margin, right? Let's say it's Cat, right? And they switch Cat onto him. Okay, let's say it's a one big situation. It's just Cat. Mitchell Robinson's not on the floor. Okay, so now on the other side, it's all right. Nembhard can try and track down Brunson to attack him, but his auxiliary defenders are going to be Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. So those guys can all switch. And now what you've done is you've taken a weakness of the Knicks, which is the 1-5 pick and roll with Brunson and Cat defending. And you've made it into what the Knicks wanted initially, which is we can just switch everything. And if you just switch everything, then Brunson can hold up defensively enough. Because Nembhard versus Brunson is not this huge mismatch. It could be. Like 1 or 2 games, Nembhard can go absolutely ballistic and just destroy him. But the Knicks are also going to help. Like, they're going to help down and give you those threes. The counter to this is maybe behind the tempo thing, Brandon, this is maybe the thing I think the Pacers have done the best at in these playoffs. They take whatever you give them and they make it. The Indiana Pacers are number 1 in EFG in the playoffs at 59%. They are shooting almost 6 percentage points better than their expected EFG because they're taking a ton of mid-range shots and making them at an absurd rate. They have been really good in terms of their accuracy throughout these playoffs, and that's been a big difference maker for them as this has gone on. They are 3rd in short mid-range shots, 3rd in long mid-range shots, 3rd in all mid-range shots, but they're also shooting 49% on corner threes. They're shooting 42% on all threes non-garbage time per clean the glass. They're 10th in rim attempts and percentage. They're actually not making that many layups. It's like short jumpers. And a lot of these they're all in the guys' comfort zone, but they're inherently like less efficient shots. But this is another thing I really like about Indiana's offense. They're less efficient shots across the league, but not for their personnel. So Nembhard, short jumper, no problem. Hallie, running floater, no problem. Mathurin, short jumper, no problem. Miles Turner, corner 3, got it. Like they are comfortable with all of their guys taking the shots that they are afforded by what the defense is forced to give them because of the personnel that they have on the floor. And that to me is a really big challenge. Now, if the Knicks can neutralize that by just switching 1-5. Like, Joe thinks that Mitchell Robinson could be a huge impact in this series. I don't know what to think about it, because my thought is like, okay, are you going to play him on, like, who do you play him on? Siakam? Are you going to play him on Turner and have him help down? Because then Miles is just going to shoot corner threes. So you probably don't want to do that, right? And you don't want him
Miles is going to
spaced out.
shoot corner threes, but Mitch is going to have 10 offensive rebounds. So that goes both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but I think here's also part of the thing with the Pacers is they're probably going to be like, you're going to get the offensive rebounds. Like, we know this. Like, we know this. And they honestly don't have a really great counter here. We ran into this problem 2 years ago when I was like, the Knicks suck. They're not going to win. They can't rely on offensive rebounds. And then they did, right? I am totally fine if you want to bet the Knicks just based off of the offensive rebound advantage. It is not a bad cap. For anyone. It's genuinely not. This is much like before the Super Bowl, I texted Brandon and Raheem and was like, there's probably value on the Eagles just based off of the Eagles defensive line versus the Chiefs offensive line. Like, that alone is probably just value. And lo and behold, turns out. Offensive rebound, this might be enough to win them the series. I have a hard time getting there still, even after watching the Knicks do it twice. But maybe that's another reason why I think I got to be hesitant with the unit size here. Is like, I really like the Pacers, but if I'm wrong, I'm going to be all the fucking way wrong. I'm going to be so wrong because the Knicks are just going to win game 1 by smashing them on the offensive glass and Brunson making enough. But overall,
we're gonna need to clip that. By the way, we're gonna drop that in as a soundbite so many times from now on.
It's pretty common. Don't worry, I'll say it again. All right, let's do player hierarchy.
Wait. Before we get to that, I want to do my thesis thing and then hierarchy after that. So my thesis, I talked about the body swap thing because I think that ties in here. And I think actually, if I'm right about my thesis, I might be wrong about my bet. Maybe I should have ended up on your side, not mine, where I'm a little more tepid. So I have receipts on this. I brought up this thing about the Pacers and about the Knicks before the playoffs started. And I'm going to come back to it now on both of them. Since January 1st, the Pacers are 41-16, now including the playoffs. 41-16. Two things. Number one, that's 2/3 of a regular season. This is not a small sample. Number two, that is a 60-win pace over not a small sample. 41-16. So what changed during that stretch? If you're looking at a sample or a smaller sample of something, what's the reason? The reason is the defense took a huge leap. They figured out the defense, and frankly, Halliburton got healthy and played better. But the offense didn't get a lot better. The defense did. It jumped from 23rd to 10th. So it went from bottom quarter of the league to top 10. They cut fouls by a lot. They started forcing turnovers a lot, and they just got better EFG. They're playing better defenders around Halliburton. They got those guys healthy, and Nembhard and Nesmith especially. Those guys have come a long ways. They've been excellent in the playoffs. The Pacers have been a 60-win team, and they've looked the part through 2 rounds so far. They have looked like what that profile has said that we thought it might be before the playoffs. The New York Knicks, since February 1st, are now, including the playoffs, 18-15. They are, in the regular season, during the stretch of this, they dropped from the number 2 offense to the number 19 offense. Now, it's huge asterisk. Part of that was without Jalen Brunson. But huge asterisk, a part of it was with Jalen Brunson, and the offense still dropped quite a bit. Their EFG dropped from 3rd to 20th. Their turnovers went way up. Remember how I just said that the Pacers forced more turnovers? The Knicks are turning it over more. So when we came into the playoffs, I brought up these stats, and I said, okay, what happened? Well, what happened was the kitty moon ended. Cat got a lot worse over the second half of the season. And if you look at the playoff numbers so far, they support that he is playing like second half Cat, not first half Cat. He has had moments, but overall has not been a second star. The Knicks need him to be a second star against the Pacers. He should crush in this matchup, but they need him to be. He has not been great in the playoffs. And Josh Hart also took a big dip in the season. Josh Hart's been awesome in the postseason, but we kind of know with Josh Hart, those shots are going to come and go. And if they go, that's another problem as well. So to me, the body swap thing, I think we've thought about the Knicks as the 3rd team in the East all season long, because that's what they started as. It was always Cavs, Celtics, some order. Then we know the Knicks are third. I think the Pacers have been definitively the third team in the East. I stupidly thought that they were maybe second in the East ahead of the Cavs and then picked the Cavs last round and profited none off of the opinion of it. But I had them clearly ahead. And so far in the playoffs, in my opinion, not Knicks haterdom, we thought the Pacers looked really good in the second half of the season, and they have looked the part. We thought the Knicks looked like they had dropped off from this really good offensive team in the fall, and they have looked the part. You ranked the Knicks offense last, and you ranked the Pacers defense moderately above. Like, I think the way you're ranking teams is mostly agreeing with this. New York is 4-12 on the season against Boston, Cleveland, Oklahoma City. Those four just happened, I know, but they're still only 10-18 top 10 net rating. Indiana is 8-3 against Boston and Cleveland. I don't know if that matters if Indiana is really good against great teams because they don't have to play one this round. But I think it means that the Pacers are a pretty good team. And I think that the body swap thing means that similar to how we are ranking these teams and how you have the power rating and how we think that the wrong team is favored, I think the Pacers are the better team. And I think they have been like since the start of the calendar year, basically.
It's tough because I'm going to put the contrarian view here, which is, all right, Cavs imploded. Everybody got hurt. Darius Garland out from the beginning of the series. Everybody's out game 2. That's a fluke game. A lane violation leads to Halliburton with a game winner, right? They steal game 2. The Cavs get healthy and win game 3. They were always going to lose game 4. Because that, like, I love that spot for the Pacers. I thought it was insane that people thought the Cavs were going to take 2 in Indiana. And then game 5 was really disappointing. I think the Cavs just really kind of like just absolutely melted down in that spot. The Pacers have shot so far above expectation. These two teams are about even in what they are expected to have EFG because neither one's a high volume 3-point team. And, like, honestly, they just take, like, a lot of mid-range shots. Like, these are tough shot-making teams. The Pacers have shot well above it. The Knicks have shot just, like, right around it. Like, they haven't shot way better. They haven't shot way worse. It's been just about pretty even. And then defensively, it kind of honestly stays pretty consistent with that idea of there's not, like, a wide discrepancy here in terms of for the Knicks of between what they're expected to and what they've allowed, because they've allowed a pretty high one because they face the freaking Celtics, who are always going to have a way high number on this. But even then,
like, and the Pistons, who known shot makers, Detroit Pistons.
So in the playoffs, New York has actually a really high mark, and they've allowed the 6th lowest. So that does kind of tell you, like, that vibes with the Celtics series, right? Let me kind of get back to basic here. What you would expect has been true. The Knicks have allowed a high expected mark, and teams haven't made shots, whether it's been because of the Knicks contests or bad luck or the types of shots or whatever. You can decide that on your own as a bettor. If you're like, no, I think this Knicks defense is legitimately affecting these shots, and that's not going to regress. I think the Pacers have shot above expectation, and that's going to regress. Then you should be betting Knicks. Yeah. That's a totally reasonable perspective because it might continue for another round. Like, Brandon and I are going to be pretty much in lockstep the rest of the way on these series. We lean Pacers. We lean Thunder. Whoever wins, we're going to lean the West. Like, that's what we're going to be doing the rest of the way. We'll argue about things like 6-7 versus more aggressive and those things. But that's kind of where we'll be. I do think that there's a reasonable argument to be made that Indiana got fortunate with who they faced in the first and second round based off of injuries, much like Boston last year, and have shot well above expectation. And so the market is a little inflated because it thinks that the Pacers are great, and instead they're just pretty good and had a favorable road, versus the Knicks literally took out the defending champion Boston Celtics. I think the reality is probably they're both frauds. That's probably, like, where we're close.
I mean, I think what's funny is I feel like I sort of, with my body swap thing, I feel like I kind of made the case for your bet, the Pacers winning a shorter series. And with your EFG thing, I think you sort of made the case for my bet, the Pacers being better, but maybe not that much better, maybe winning a longer series. I do want to come to the player hierarchy thing now, because to me, we're clearly both on the Pacers here. I think the player hierarchy thing is a little troubling for us as Pacers backers. I'm going to go through the whole list of where I have it, because I'm going to talk through tiers. That's how we do these. And I have the players ranked within the tiers. And I'm just going to tell you up front, listen how I tell the names. Each time I do a tier, I have a Nick leading the tier. And I have that's very troubling to me. So I got Brunson, Halley at the top of the tier, and I have them in that order. Then I have second tier, Cat, Siakam. Again, Nick first. Third tier, OG, Turner, McHale. OG is first again. Next tier is the role player guys. Hart, Nemhard, Neesmith. They've all been awesome in the playoffs. I still have Hart first. Even on the bench guys, very troublingly, the way I list them, I have bench, and then it says on my document, Mitch McConnell. Drives me crazy every time. Why do I have Mitch McConnell on my sheet? Why am I doing politics? It's because it's Mitch. Mitchell Robinson. Mitch, he's the first one. I think Mitch is the most valuable bench player in this matchup in the series. That's 5 tiers of player rankings, and all 5 of them I have a Nick leading the group of 5. The Pacers have 2 guys in the 3rd and 4th tiers to only 1 Nick, but that doesn't feel enough to me to make up the difference that New York is ahead on all of them. That is worrying to me. Is it worrying to you, or do you just have different orderings or groupings of the hierarchy?
Yeah, I do. So I'll start with Tyrese Halliburton is Jalen Brunson. So start over. Jalen Brunson is a better player than Tyrese Halliburton. I'm going to say it again for the Knicks fans. Jalen Brunson is a better player than Tyrese Halliburton. Hey, don't shake your head at me. You have him listed that way in your tiers.
No, I haven't. No, I'm saying I think the opposite of the thing you're saying right now. I think Halley is the better player, but Brunson is better in this series. I think you're saying the opposite.
I'm actually saying Tyrese Halliburton makes a bigger impact than Jalen Brunson. So it's matchup neutral here. I think both of these teams have advantages and disadvantages, where it's like, if the Knicks are like, we're not going to let Tyrese Halliburton score, cool. You can do that. Is he going to still shape the game? Yes. Hey, we're going to make Tyrese Halliburton be a scorer. Cool. Can he take advantage of that? Absolutely. Will he? That's a challenge. Maybe that's like the best thing for the Knicks to do, is to be like, we're going to put Brunson on Halliburton. Just whatever you want to do. Just, you can cook him all day long. You just can't make anybody else better. With Halliburton on the court in the playoffs, the Pacers are plus 10.9. They have a 121 offensive rating and a 110 defensive rating. They have been just tremendous with him on the court. And most of the other guys in that like kind of perspective are all, by the way, Ty Jerome is third in this list at 17.3. But like Cason Wallace leads the pack at 26. But Halley has been one of the best players in the Eastern Conference from this perspective, and has been able to really shape these games, even when he doesn't have monster scoring or assist performances. If it gets into the last 5 minutes of a game, I understand you wanting the clutch player of the year. I don't know how you don't look at what Tyrese Halliburton has done to both the Bucks and the Cavaliers and not be like, yeah, no, that's pretty scary too. Like, Halley just makes things happen. It's insane. And Brunson is much more dribble, tough shot. Like, that's what he does.
But he makes it.
And it's really valuable, and it can win you a series. Again, low units. But I would have it Halliburton and then Jalen. Second tier, I would have Siakam. I don't think Siakam's gotten nearly enough credit for how good he is in every facet of the game. He's able to run DHOs. He's able to run pinch post passing. He's able to drive. He's able to post up. He can shoot. He can score. He can defend. He can block. He can guard smalls. He can guard bigs. Like, if the Pacers are built on this versatility and this real plug and play, we can concoct different lineups. I think Siakam's absolutely pivotal to that. As good as Cat has been at rebounding, and some elements of scoring. I just think Siakam is a better overall player than Cat. I think Siakam's tremendous. And then you're probably right on the next bunch of guys. But the key here, as always, with the Tibbs team is they got Miles McBride, who I think is going to have a great series off of the bench. I'm going to look for Miles McBride prop opportunities. I think he's going to be great. But like the Pacers have a real bench. They have like 9 guys they can go to. They can go to Jarris Walker. They can go to Ben Shepherd. They can play TJ McConnell. They can not play TJ McConnell. They can play Obi Toppin. They can not play Obi Toppin. They have so many different combinations they can go to, and that's really mattered throughout the course of these playoffs. Is, you know, who's had the better bench? I've made the argument it's actually about age. It's who has the younger team, and the Pacers have that too. They have more legs. They have fresher legs. There's no way to argue otherwise. And yeah, the Tibbs thing is held up, and it might, again, small units, might hold up for another round. But I'm willing to bet against it in this situation as a factor. Like, it's not enough to get me away from the Pacers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was going to mention the bench thing, obviously. Even if I have Mitch as the best bench player singularly, Indiana's bench and depth should be a big advantage. And I think for me, the longer the series goes, the more I feel better about Indiana's bench advantage. So that's, again, like I'm factoring that in quite a bit in my cap. So that's part of why I like the longer series. Obviously, I don't even think we need to say a whole lot about it. Rick Carlisle, Tom Thibodeau. If you've ever listened to Matt and I talk, you know who we like in the matchup. It's a pretty strong delta between how we feel about playoff coach Rick Carlisle and playoff coach Tom Thibodeau. Let me remind you, listeners, of a stat. I tried to tell you this one, Matt, when you were interested in the Knicks in the first round. Stat hasn't gone away yet. Tibbs teams in 9 years in the playoffs have been eliminated by a lower seed 6 of 9 times. They still have one more chance, Matt. Actually, they might even have 2. They could still do it in the finals if it's the Timberwolves. So many chances to lose to a worse team. They've lost to a 5, a 6, 2 times to an 8 seed. Why don't we add a 4 to the mix? Why not add a 4? Let's lose to a lower seed 4. That seems like a good way to round out the profile. It's like his Doc Rivers profile. Just keep adding to the list. So I think the coaching matchup is very problematic. If you are a Knicks fan, you don't want this to have to come down to coaching moves. Yeah, my best bet, Pacers in 6 or 7. I'm sacrificing the sweep. I don't think this is a sweep either way. I can see a world where the Pacers win in 5. I think it probably takes multiple New York injuries, which is possible because we've seen how that stuff plays out. I like for New York that the way that the schedule broke is that both of these teams are going to come in pretty well rested and healthy, I hope. Like Brunson's ankle and everything. Everyone got a little rest. The West? No, sorry. You just finished your playing again. Everyone in the West just keep playing games. The East has just like been on vacation and still gets the later start on the series anyway. Now, again, that might help our Pacers pick because I believe that the East starts late, but then goes every 2 days all the way to the finish line, which is, again, not a great formula for our Knicks, who don't have a deep team and are going to play their same guys. And if it's a blowout, guess what? They're going to play their same guys. And if they're way ahead, they're going to play their same guys. They're going to all play their 40, 45 minutes every single night all the way to the finish line. And Joe Tolera would like us to know that, of course, they're going to be fine because they've played that much all season, so they're conditioned and ready for it. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe for the first time ever in a Tibbs playoff run, his guys will get through unscathed and not just fry themselves into dust at some point. But I do think even just the cadence of the series, playing into the depth thing, kind of helps out with why I ended up just feeling best about a long series win on Pacers. But like you said, small units, not overconfidence here from 2 teams that are just going to be very similar in a lot of close games, I think, too. Close games, long series.
I think they're going to be close, which is, this is one of the hard things is I've got this model very close, and we'll get to best bets here. If I think they're going to be close, do I think the Pacers are going to out-execute the clutch player of the year? Because Brunson's so good in those situations. You know, as much as I think Hallie has done, I meant the case, like Hallie's done all these amazing things, and he has, but God, Brunson's so reliable just in terms of he's going to get a shot up. He's probably going to make it. He's going to find a way. And the Pacers don't have a top level type defender to try and close out on him and defend him the way that the Knicks do. Like Tyrese Haliburton cannot take Mikal Bridges off of the dribble one-on-one and just score. Well, he can, but like it's unlikely that he's going to do that and just score over him. I would like that for my bet, but in a clutch situation, but that seems pretty dicey. I just still can't get around it.
Let me give you a number on that. I feel differently. I feel how you feel. We just watched Brunson shred two teams in the fourth quarter time and time again and take them apart. From the regular season, the Knicks' fourth quarter net rating was terrible. They were minus 4.2 in the fourth quarter. The Pacers were number 2. They were plus almost 10 in the fourth quarter. Does that mean anything? I know recency bias, and Jalen Brunson tells us it doesn't, but we have 82 games that says otherwise.
I get it, but also I think I would probably consider this the playoffs are a different beast, and in the very clutchest of clutch situations, you need to be able to get a tough shot and make it. And I think the Knicks are way more likely than the Pacers, I think, to blow a huge lead in this series. Like I wish we could bet, plus minus for the fourth quarters throughout the series. I would absolutely take the Pacers minus 9.5 in the fourth quarters of this series. But the Knicks can also blow a lead and still hang on because Brunson makes a couple tough shots. Again, I understand I'm making the case here for Knicks. Because I want to have a healthy respect for them before I try and bury them with these bets, because I do do quantitatively think the Indiana Pacers are a much better team. I think they're a better team, and they're going to win the series, and there's a chance they win it in short order. So I looked this up because I was curious. The Mavericks between 2009 and 2017, which is like the pre kind of Luka years, I could look it up for the Luka stuff too. And the Pacers with Rick Carlisle. Okay. Playoffs, series game 1, road dogs. Rick is 22-23 at 49% as a road dog.
Straight up in these
game ones. ATS, it's 29-14-2 at 67%.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. I have Rick Carlisle road underdog as like a Bet Labs trend that pops. That's how good he's been, and that's not a small sample either. That's a lot of Rick Carlisle over the years. It's been a good one. Do you have any, before we jump into series props? Do you have anything else on just series angles?
Can I do the overtime bet now?
Yeah, let's. We just talked about the fun bets and the close games. I have a whole section of fun bets. So let's do the fun bets that, again, we're only giving you bets that we think are also good. These are good, fun bets. Guys, I found this bet and was like, oh, this is the most Matt-coded bet ever. And I think it's good. I'm adding it to the list. I'm going to talk him into it live. And then right before we started recording, I told him, I was like, I have a bet. I'm going to make you bet it. And he was like, he answered with his own version of it. And it's literally the thing that I wrote down. So Matt, take it away.
All right. In game 1 of this series, and I'm going to be on Pacers in game 1. That shouldn't surprise you given how I've talked about this series. And this is all built off of the power rating. So this gets into the kind of that dynamic of this. In the Knicks Pacers, with where I've got this projected, I make game 1 and 2, because it's going to be the same spread. I make the Knicks as less than a point favorite. I have this as pick'em in New York. I understand if you're like, that's absurd. The Knicks are at home, blah, 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 blah. I have cut down on home court advantage because look around you, Helen. We're at the threshold of hell. Like, there is no home court advantage in these playoffs. We've seen it consistently. So you're going to have a hard time selling me on the Garden being this way better home court advantage relative to these other places. OKC is a marvelous home court advantage. Lost game 1 at home. So I have all the games in this series inside 3.3 points. That's where I've got it currently. And if those are going to be where I project these games to be relative, now there will be certain spots where I'm not going to like just bet it like that, where it's like, if the Pacers take game 1, yes, we got to bet next game 2. Like we got to bet next game 2. I think 100% here from the trends and how this kind of, well, I mean, not definitely. I'll see where I'm at after game 1. But if I like that all these games are close, even though with the Pacers though, I don't have the Pacers as these massive favorites either. I just have the series shorter than what the market does, which is why I was looking at. I love that they've added these number of overtime games in the series. And Brandon was kind enough to let me know at ESPN, which I did not check, that at ESPN you can get 2+ overtime games, two games to go to OT, and it's actually moved. Brandon, it's down to 25-1.
We had 30-1 before. Get your money in.
It's now 25-1.
2 overtimes, 25-1. And don't miss the first part of the escalator. 1 or more overtimes plus 350. You don't want to get the first overtime and get nothing out of this. Get them both in there. 1 or more overtimes plus 350. 2 or more at 25-1. We're both, like, these are real bets. This will be in the app. You should bet this. My version of this one also, I think this is at ESPN and at DraftKings. You can bet either team to come back from 20 points at plus 400 at DraftKings. Guess what? Both of these teams have come back from 20 points multiple times already this postseason. The Knicks did it in back-to-back games against the Celtics. Don't I remember it? The Pacers did it in back-to-back series. They did it to knock out the Bucks in Game 5, and they did it in Game 2 to stun the Cavs and effectively knock them out. We have already had a record number of 20-point comebacks. The whole story of the playoffs so far, I think, has been building big leads that don't hold up anymore. So you can make an escalator out of this one as well. 20-point comeback by either team. You don't have to pick a team, either one, 4-1. If you get it to a 25-point comeback, it's 10-1, and a 30-point comeback is 22-1. Obviously, the harder that the more points you're behind, the harder to come back. So we're gonna not like go crazy on these. These are maybe like quarter unit, 10th unit sort of plays, but they're fun bets. Who doesn't like? It's already fun to see the comeback or the possible overtime. Now you can profit off of it too. So these are fun bets. A couple more just fun bets for you. Jalen Brunson to score 40 in any game. Plus 130 bet MGM. Come on. Jalen's going to score. He's hit this for the last 5 series. He did not hit it last round. Guess why? 39. He missed it by 1 point in the one series he didn't hit it. Last year, these teams played in the playoffs. He hit it twice. He had a 43 and a 44. Brunson has scored 40 points in 7 of his last 26 playoff games right now. That's more than a quarter of the time he scores 40 in the playoffs. I don't even enjoy watching that version of basketball, but I do enjoy profiting off of it. If he does it at that rate, this bet would hit about 80% of the time in like a 6-game series. So plus money for a 40-point game, that's fun. Most points in the round, Jalen Brunson at 3-1, especially if you're more with me than Matt. If you think the series goes long, if you're on Matt's side, maybe don't do this bet. But if it goes long, I think we get at least one more game this series than we do in the West series. And if you're Brunson at 27 for 6 games, or 7 games, versus Shea at 31 for 6 games, I'll do the math for you, come out 3 points ahead. That extra game is a lot more valuable. So Brunson points, 40 in a game, plus 300 for most in a round. Couple of just crazy long shots. I already mentioned this in a previous pod. Andrew Nembhard, 200-1 for East MVP. I don't know if it's going to be him, but I think that the Pacers are very, very well set up for a kind of random MVP winner that's not necessarily the star, unlike the other 3 teams left. I think he could be the guy. And Ben Mathurin, threes leader, 125-1, just like a 10th nibble. I have a different pick I love for this category, but Mathurin did go 7 of 9 against the Knicks this season once on threes. He's averaging 2.3 per playoffs. He's been really good. I think he's going to fire away as well. And I don't think we have a huge leader there. So those are my section and Matt's of just fun bets and long shots. Matt, should I go into my less fun but better prop bets?
Yeah, his with all the prop bets, Brendan.
All right. I got Halliburton threes and I got some rebound props. So Halliburton threes. I want series leader and round leader. Series leader is plus 250. Round leader, meaning like that he gets more than anyone in the West as well, plus 650. Those are both at bet 365. Last year, when Halliburton played the Knicks in the playoffs, in 7 games, he made 29 three-pointers. It was bombs away. He shot 44% for the series. He made over 4 per game. In the last 2 seasons, Halliburton is averaging almost 9 attempts per game from deep against the Knicks, over 3.3 makes per game. He's been a little lower than that in the playoffs, but again, this is a matchup thing. The Knicks don't take many threes. Halliburton takes the most volume of threes, and we've seen already in the playoffs, he's timid at times, but when the shot starts to go in, he's firing real fast. Like that game against Cleveland, he got up 3, 4, 5 in a row and is making a bunch. In the round one, I think it's basically him against Ant in all likelihood. And again, we might get an extra game or two if I'm right about the long series, particularly if Ant doesn't make his threes, that series gets shorter over there as well. So Halliburton threes, series and round. And then the rebound stuff is just what really stood out to me. Both Hart and Cat. Josh Hart, the last 2 years in 12 games against the Pacers, is averaging 11.3 rebounds. An absurd number for not a center or power forward or whatever Josh Hart is. He's had at least 8 rebounds all 12 games against the Pacers in that stretch. He's had double-digit rebounds 10 of 12 games in that stretch. So here's my favorite one of this whole section. Josh Hart, 6 rebounds every game. It's even odds at BetMGM. He has made that. He's had at least 6 rebounds in 24 out of 24 playoff games the last 2 years, other than one game where he left injured that I don't think counts. It's a 100% hit rate for you. I think that's my actual best bet of the series. 6 rebounds every game. 8 rebounds per game is minus 400 at DraftKings. If you like those sort of bets, I think that's a very easy number to hit. 10 rebounds a game is plus 210. Again, he's averaging the last 2 playoffs 10.4 and 11.3 against Indy. So I like those Hart rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns, 9 rebounds every game is plus 195. I don't love betting Karl Anthony Towns floor bets because heaven knows I don't trust my man Cat, but he's going to get a lot of rebound opportunities. He's averaged 30 and 12 in 3 games against the Pacers this year. And last year with the Timberwolves, he had a 40 and 12 game against them. I think this is a really good matchup for Cat. Plus 200 effectively for 9 every game. I'm not going to go too aggressive there. And then the last one with Cat, round leader. Again, you can't bet series leader. The number is it's like minus 700 or something. Round leader, minus 140. I already put that one on the app at DraftKings. I want the rebounds. I want a fast-paced game, and I want the Cat rebounds and the Hart rebounds and all the rebounds. The only time I don't want rebounds is when Hallie's shooting threes because those are supposed to go in and help his threes bet and our Pacers bets. So those are my props.
I want to note Towns is already minus 200 at DK for round leader. Okay. He's already moved minus 200. So
I don't mind the minus 200. I just wouldn't go too crazy with it. I think it was like minus 800 at other places. So grab that one if you can. I am not on for game 1. So let me give you my one singular game 1 bet right now. One angle that I want to bet in game 1 and watch to bet again later. Knicks home first halves, I think, is a big edge that the Knicks need to have if they want to hang in the series. Somebody asked me on Twitter, will you bet the Knicks for one game ever in the entire playoffs? Please, will you bet the Knicks once? I'm betting the Knicks home for half of the game. In the regular season, home first half, they were plus 10 net rating. They're plus 6 just any first half. The Pacers, particularly, are bad on the road in the first half at minus 6 net rating. So I think that this is a great spot for the Knicks to come out and in front of the home crowd, be the home court team, get the home victory in the first half. You can go escalator if you want. You can take it full game if you want. We all know I'm not going to because I don't trust the Knicks enough to do that. But I'm giving you half. Knicks home first half. That's my game 1 bet.
Okay. All right. Well, you can track all the things that Brandon has bet in the Action Network app. You can find those. Make sure to check out our Western Conference Finals preview. Tomorrow, we'll have a full slate for the Eastern Conference Finals game 1. I wanted to do a full game slate for those because I want to get all the New York guys to be able to weigh in on those games. I was going to have Sean Little on, but he's got MSG Network stuff. So screw Sean. I hate him, and he's dead to me. We'll talk about those tomorrow. Appreciate you guys being with us. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. Giver Gold. Get us up at Gould at youtube.com/The Action Network. Have yourselves a great Tuesday. Enjoy game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. We'll be back for pregame before that, 5:30 Eastern on youtube.com/the Action Network and post game, giving you a live reaction to game 1 of the Western Conference Finals and every game in the conference finals. Thanks for joining us. See you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.